Kwezo. All people are people. The admirable motto of the Central African Republic, the symbol of their hopes and dreams, the attitude we, as the human race, should all strive for. The Central African Republic is located in the center of Africa. It's landlocked and bordered by Chad, South Sudan, Cameroon, the Republic of the Congo, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Most of the country consists of flat or rolling plateau savannas and is 4% rainforest. The area of CAR has been inhabited by humans for millennia. However, the century's current borders were established by France, who ruled over the country for nearly 70 years. After gaining independence from France, the country was run by a series of leaders until they called for democracy and elected Ange Félix Pétasse as president in 1993. Pétasse was taken out of power when one of his generals, François Bozize, orchestrated a coup in 2003. Once in power, Bozize began to create a new constitution many citizens did not agree with. Bozize, in 2004, began the Republican Bush War in the Central African Republic. From 2004 to 2006, hundreds of civilians were killed and over 20,000 were displaced from their homes. The first major peace treaty, the Global Peace Accord, was signed in 2008 and several others were signed from 2007 to 2011 with scattered fighting in between treaties. In 2011, Bozize was re-elected president in what many considered a fraud and fighting continued. Then in 2013, the rebels attacked the Bozize government and Bozize was forced to flee. Michel Dhotodia then became president and requested a UN peacekeeping force. Later that year, former President Bozize was indicted for crimes against humanity and incitement of genocide. Even with UN forces, fighting continued and rebel troops refused to disarm and veered further out of government control. By 2013, there were reports of over 200,000 internationally displaced persons, hundreds of dead civilians, countless human rights violations, and warnings of genocide. In 2014, a ceasefire was signed, but there was no resolution for the hundreds of thousands displaced. The main characters that are involved in this emergency are mainly the Muslim group called the Seleka and the mainly Christian group called the Anti-Balaka. The Seleka attacked the capital of CAR in March 2013 and overthrew the government. After that incident, the Christian majority formed the Anti-Balaka militia to fight against the Seleka. The UN has also sent in the peacekeepers called the MINUSCA to protect civilians as their number one priority. The IGOs and NGOs are involved with the Central African Republic in many different ways. Groups like the UNHCR and the Mercy Corps are there and helping to relocate displaced refugees who have lost homes and families due to the violence and disputes that have affected the Republic for almost 11 years now. These groups are also there to deploy international peacekeepers to try and bring stability and order back to the destroyed system the country is now under. In more affected areas, shelter has become a huge loss for those living in the area. So groups are taking these as high priority to ensure that they are safe and well protected. Mainly, the focus for these groups is on emergency humanitarianism. There are a few shortcomings that IGOs and NGOs have been facing, however. One of the biggest ones is the lack of resources that groups like the UNHCR and Mercy Corps have for almost 5.2 million people that are within the borders of the Central African Republic. One other major shortcoming is that the crisis in CAR is one of the most neglected problems in the world today, so funding is very low because there is hardly any media on the problem. Because one of the largest shortcomings of current NGO and IGOs is the lack of resources and awareness for this issue, we wanted to bring some awareness to Plymouth State, so Will volunteered to sing during open mic and let people know what was going on and what we were going to do about it.
We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, oh, we're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me.
We also had a bake sale in Smith Hall. We bought all our supplies at the dollar store and used some of the things we already had. In total, we initially spent $14 on the supplies needed to start our bake sale. Surprisingly, we had a lot of customers and quite a few generous donations. We made $27, and after subtracting the $14 we had spent, we sent $13 to the World Food Program. Finding out what to do was a bit challenging because we couldn't just donate money. We actually had to think of ways to fundraise money for the cause. We were going to get a table in the hub and ask for donations, however, that is easier said than done. So we had to think of another way to fundraise the money. We did research and agreed on all doing a bake sale. It was a challenge to find a location that would allow us to hold this, but thankfully the RD of Smith Hall generously donated us a space. Everyone pitched into the sale, with some of us running the tables, some of us buying supplies, and some of us baking the cookies. Overall, it was a very, very fun project. It was a little confusing at first, but once we understood what we had to do, it was pretty easy to plan. If we could do it again, the one thing we could do differently is plan it sooner, and if we had a little more time to space things out. We hope that in the future, more people become aware of the troubles in the Central African Republic and the troubles in all of Africa. We also hope that future humanitarians understand that hope isn't lost and that all people are people. Zo, Kwe, Zo.